Hi, everybody. Welcome to the East Coast Hunt, Fish, Hike podcast. We're coming at you with a short little Encore episode. Just wanted to share a fun little excerpt from a previous episode to remind you of all the fun we have here. This is the one where Mike takes out his new inflatable kayak only to get his lure snagged on the boat, leading to a catastrophic deflation.
That's right, Pat. Even as we're recording this, I can still hear the sound of my favorite crankbait snagging the back end of my kayak about 10 yards away from my ideal fishing spot on Lake Lanier. But whether this is your first time hearing this story or you're a longtime listener, make sure to follow us at EC_hunt_fish_hike_pod and like, rate, and subscribe so that you don't miss a single adventure, recap, or otherwise, that we cover here on the podcast.
All right. Thanks for following along. And remember to get outside and have some fun out there.
Over the course of since our last episode, I was able to take one of my personal days.
Nice.
And I was able to get out on the lake and do a little bit of fishing. And so I was really excited about that. I had just purchased online a pretty inexpensive inflatable kayak.
Nice.
And so I was looking to see how it is that was gonna fare on the water. It came with not one but two fins that went underneath it, so I knew that I'd have like a little bit of stability, and I was really excited to get it out onto the lake. And I wanted to kind of use it as a test run to see if I wanted to bring up an inflatable kayak up to the lake this summer, or if I wanted to instead bring up my bigger kayak and then maybe buy something a little bit smaller, closer to home, that I could fit inside the car versus on top of the car. So I've been having all these thoughts. I'm still having all these thoughts. In fact, I'm even further from landing on a solution in that regard than I was when I started this. But I was able to bring the inflatable kayak up to Lake Lanier a couple of Mondays ago. I took my day off of work and I got up there early enough. I was happy enough with how early I had gotten up there. I was able to leave probably a little bit before 7:00 or so like 6:50 or so. And I was able to get out towards the water. I made pretty good time, so I was there well before 8:00.
Nice.
Now I'm not there at sunrise as I kind of would have liked to be, but I was there. But there was a lot of cloud cover, and at first the weather was kind of holding off, so it was overcast and probably in the low 50s or so. It's temperature's okay, cloud cover's okay. I was really excited. Got that kayak pumped up within a matter of 4 minutes. I got the fins on, I got my paddles ready to go. I got it down to the water, got out on the water, and I was trolling out to that plateau. I know I've talked about it a lot. It's in a visible spot from where I park my car when I go up to Lake Lanier. And there wasn't anybody there, so I was so excited to get out to my spot. Anyways, I get there and I don't get 10 casts in before I end up throwing that line, and I felt it as I was casting catch on the back of the inflatable kayak. And I had this moment where you're casting and the line isn't going anywhere, and you kind of I felt it more so than I heard it. And I was like, oh no, I know what that is. I've had enough holes punctured in kayaks to know what that's going to be. And so I was able to kind of get my line out, and I was like, okay, well maybe it's not too bad. Maybe the kayak's still going to be okay. And so I didn't hear that piff noise or anything like that. And so I still kept casting a little bit more, maybe 10, 15 more casts. And then I start to feel underneath my left arm that it was starting to get a little bit lower than my right arm was.
No.
And so I'm unbalanced here as I'm paddling, and there's only one reason why that would be the case in this 3-chamber kayak that I've inflated, where there's one on the left, one on the right, and one underneath me, for my left arm to be lower than my right, and it's because I had punctured a hole in the kayak. And so I still kept fishing for a little bit. I was like, I've got enough air underneath me and under my arm, until about maybe 5-10 minutes later. I mean, that thing was down on the bottom chamber. It was as loose as can be. This compartment was. And so now, like, my kayak, if you want to call it that at this point, is like tipping from one side to the other, and so I'm off balance as I'm trying to like paddle my way back to the shore and see what it is that's happened here. I was thinking optimistically, because I'll just be honest with you, I ended up puncturing a hole when I was casting. I mean, quite obviously, but I was thinking to myself, like, well, maybe I just didn't seal off like the Boston valve enough, and so I was losing air through one of the valves. No, I punctured a hole when I was casting the damn thing. So that was a moment of like severe frustration for me. So I ended up just like leaving the kayak there, and I got in the car, and there's a Walmart that is it's less than 10 minutes from where it is that I put in at this kind of like state park. And so I was like, you know what? I'll see if I can find something for less than like $20, and I'll see if I can buy like a patch kit that I might be able to use on this thing and get this thing patched up. And even as I'm doing it, I was sending a text to my wife as I was in the parking lot of this Walmart, being like, punctured a hole in the kayak. I'm devastated. Probably just going to go back and make my way to the driving range or something like that. And so I go into this Walmart, and I'm kind of like looking up and down in the aisles, and I'm looking in the repair aisles and in the tool aisle. And I wasn't really seeing anything. And so I ended up going back to their like fishing and hunting section. And when I did, I saw that they had a series of like inflatable like pool toys. And I started to think to myself, well, I have my paddle. And so if I can find something that's big enough that I might be able to use. And then I went to like the boating section, and they had a couple of like really small, like, I don't want to call them rafts. This is an insult to rafts. But they were like inflatables.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for like a repair kit that might have been like $20-$25 or so. I find this new raft, and they've got a picture on the front of this like mother with her son with their like little oars as they're like paddling through. And I'm like, for $28, I can just get myself a whole new watercraft. And so that's what I did. I bought this new watercraft, and of course I'm walking through the fishing aisle, and I find one of my Rapala like shad fishing lures. So I was like, well, I'm gonna throw one of those on there too. So I walk out of there with a new lure and with a $28 raft. And so I go like back to the car and everything, and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling newly and like reinvigorated here. And so I go back to the lake, and I pump the thing back up, and I'm ready to put back out onto the water. And this thing is, I mean, it's not long like a kayak is. It's kind of like short and chubby. It doesn't have a fin underneath it. And so I put it on the water, and it floats. And so I'm kind of like paddling my way around, but it is without the rudder underneath it. I mean, I'm all over the surface of the water. And so I tried to kind of like troll behind it, because at this point, after puncturing the hole in the other one, I didn't want to end up puncturing a hole in the second one, especially because this one is just like one chamber. If I puncture a hole in this thing, like, I'm screwed. So I ended up like filling it up, and I'm just trying to troll behind it. But what they don't tell you when you're trying to use an inflatable pool raft as your main source of kayaking when you're out on Lake Lanier is that these aren't exactly designed to be kayaked in. And so they have these like little knobs that you could use your like little like play oars with your 5-year-old son, as they had on the front packaging of this thing. And it's right where I'm trying to paddle. And so I'm needing to like paddle up above, and I'm like sinking down below with my inflatable like seat that I use in my other kayak. And so I am trying to like paddle around, and of course, without a rudder, I'm trying to like paddle to the right. I'm going left. I'm trying like all over the place. But I ended up making it to where it is that I wanted to go in terms of my like fishing and trolling. And so, but it takes me like 5 times longer to get there than it would have taken me in like a normal kayak. And so I end up kind of like paddling out to like the far stretch of where it is that I want to be. And that's when I saw the storm cloud starting to come in, and it started to rain. And so there I am with this kayak, and I haven't caught a fish. I have not caught a fish on the 2.5 hours now that I've been out on the lake trying to paddle around with this thing, just trolling, because again, I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to end up puncturing a hole in this thing. And so I'm trolling, and it's taking me so long. I'm convinced that I'm not going at a good enough speed in order to be able to really be able to catch any sort of fish. Sorry if you can hear this you're listening at home. I'm doing this recording out on the back porch, and we've got some thunder and lightning that's out here, folks. So we're definitely keeping things interesting. But it's really kind of like setting the mood for where I am in this story too, because it started really coming down as I'm trying to paddle my way back. And then of course I got my lure caught on another fishing line that was underwater in a shallow point as I'm trying to paddle back.
Oh, no.
So it ended up being just this absolute disaster of a fishing trip. Didn't end up catching any fish. End up getting back to the car, and now it's raining to the point that I don't feel comfortable. Like, all the driving ranges that I was going to go to are closed. And so it ended up being going and planning on doing a little bit of writing. Went to the cafe that's at the Whole Foods that I do some writing at, and I ended up getting some food that ended up giving me a stomach ache. And so
no.
the storm really ended up coming, and they had a state of emergency that was being called. So I ended up needing to abandon ship there, and ended up making my way home. So it really ended up being this whole big fiasco of a fishing trip. Didn't catch any fish, and learned a lot about, when you go on a fishing trip, especially when you have so few of them, when I'm taking personal days, in order to be able to do it, just go with all of your equipment, even if it means putting the other kayak up on the roof. Just go with everything that it is that you think that you're going to need, and even the stuff that you don't think that you're going to need.
Thanks for listening to the East Coast Hunt, Fish, Hike podcast. If you have questions, comments, or have an idea for an episode, feel free to follow us and reach out over social media. Don't forget to rate, review, or tell your friends about the podcast. And until you hear from us again, get outside. Have some fun out there.